Hey, ambitious dentist, welcome to Start Your Dental Practice, the show for existing and aspiring dentists to take your dental practice to the highest possible level. I'm your host, Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV, founder of dentistmetrics.com. In every episode, we aim to demystify the how to start a dental practice problem by bringing on world-class dentists, influencers, and consultants in the dental industry to pick their brain about how to get past the barriers involved from going from no practice to being a practice owner to owning your own successful dental practice. Look, running a successful dental practice is really difficult. Day in and day out, you're juggling marketing, budgets, growing your team, and a million other things that's always on your expanding to-do list. I get it. And yet, at the end of the day, as a practice owner, you've got to remember you're in the service industry, which means everything you do should be focused on providing the best service you possibly can, because ultimately that's what keeps the lights on. Unfortunately, many dentists often forget that. And today, I'm excited to share my conversation with Dr. Anissa Holmes from Delivering Wow. You may remember her from episode 9 of the Start Your Dental Practice podcast, where she shared her insight on how to get the most out of Facebook. And we recently had a chance to reconnect at the Voices of Dentistry Summit, and I knew I had to have her back on the show. And I'm absolutely blown away with what she's been able to accomplish since the last time we sat down to chat. And as cliche as it might sound, she really delivers the wow on this one and shares exactly how to do the same for your practice. And so here are a few things that you're going to learn today. What delivering wow means to Dr. Holmes and how you can apply it in your own practice. Dr. Anissa's expansion into teaching and how it's also helped her accelerate her own practice, her decision-making process on whether to purchase another practice, how to grow your practice and even work less. Yeah, it's actually true. She talks about how to do that today. And the systems and team you need to fast-track your growth, as well as how to increase your luck through discipline. And a whole lot more. It's a really good episode. And at the end of the episode, you'll also get access to her roadmap to delivering wow, which is a bonus just for you Start Your Dental Practice podcast listeners. So be sure to listen all the way through this entire interview to get access to that. Now, here's my interview with Dr. Anissa Holmes. Hello, ambitious dentists. Today, I have with us my dear friend, Dr. Anissa Holmes from Delivering Wow. If you've not heard her podcast, it's fantastic. She's really good at talking with people, making you feel like you're a friend. So much so that whenever we were actually at the recent Voices of Dentistry summit for all the podcasters out there, we actually got to hang out a lot. And I have to say, she's just as much of a pleasure in person as she is in the earbuds. So Dr. Holmes, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks so much for having me, Jonathan. Really happy to be here.
Well, whenever we were chatting, I just in Nashville, I just knew we had to get another episode out, because you've actually had a lot going on just with you personally in your practices compared to whenever we, initially did our first episode. I don't know, probably 6 months ago, a year ago, something like that. It feels like it feels like it was yesterday, but I know it was a lot longer. You kind of get lost in the episodes in your head of what you do on those things. So, if you don't mind, fill some people in on what's been going on with your practices and delivering wow and the people you've been connecting with.
Good stuff. So things have been really growing in the practice. In the past year, I've actually been able to come out of the practice a fair bit. I'm working about 2 days a week now and really focusing the rest of my time on my other passion, which is really teaching. So teaching dentists and helping them to be able to create that amazing delivering wow practice as well. But things are really great. This year we are on a path and track of really significant growth. I'm actually leaving in the morning to go to a CE course for adult ortho. We're going to be putting that in, as well as additional services to take us to the next level. So that's what we're working on with the practice. Personally, or in the other realm, which is really with the delivering wow, it has been a really amazing year. And so the last time I was on, we were talking about, Facebook marketing and strategies that you can use to grow your practice with Facebook. And it's because really that's what my audience wanted. So people who are listening to my podcast. People who are in my Facebook group, which is the Delivering While Hangout, kept asking me, how are you getting, 50 new patients while spending $500 a month? And they kept asking me. In particular, it was one doc that kept asking me to teach him. And so I created the Facebook Mastery course and really have just been taking time to just teach, add value, talk about the importance of systems, creating a very unique culture, and being able to create that, what I call a delivering while practice, which is one which is super profitable, has inspired team members and patients who are really raving fans. And so the Facebook group has grown now. We have about 1,700 now in the Facebook group. And I'm really excited, that we have been able to really grow even more to the point now where I've been doing, business boot camps, and now Delivering While You, which is an online community for dentists, giving them all of those resources, has recently launched. So it's been a really amazing year, reaching out and connecting with so many docs all over the world.
Sounds like a busy time, and you kind of skimmed over it, and I hope people heard that part of your practice is growing, you're inspiring team members and inspiring patients, yet you're working less in the dental practice.
Yes.
Which is like the Midas touch for most people out there. It's like that is the pipe dream. And so I mean, and you also have all those other really fantastic things going on. You've got a great community. I've been in there. I've been able to field questions, and it's a fun place where people like to give back and to discuss in a positive environment. And so, kudos on creating that, because that is not easy to do, unless you're Dr. Anissa Holmes, of course. and then it's real easy, right? So, talk to me about how, and for people out there, if I didn't go super in depth in the intro, because Dr. Holmes has been on the podcast before, but if you haven't been introduced to her again, she's a practicing real world, flesh and blood dentist that has actually two practice locations, right? In Jamaica. I think, was it only one last time we talked?
No, we still have one. We're trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out if I want to expand because of everything else that's going on, but we definitely have a need for it. But we have one practice now.
Right. And so she actually owns her own practice. And so things she's talking about are actually real world things. It's not, hypotheticals or stories of other people. It's stuff that she can actually do and implement in her own practice. And by having this community around her, she's actually getting to learn all these other things that, and instruct all these other people about what's going on in their practices. So if you're not familiar with her online community and her Facebook group and things like that, I do encourage you to go check that out. But, look, to the topic at hand, how in the world do you grow a practice but work less? Because I've got people that are beating down doors trying to make something like that happen.
You know what? Let me tell you something, Jonathan. About 5 years ago, I actually had a vision to be able to be in this position. And so I really thought about my life. And, for me, I'm a female, I have kids. And it was really important for me to be able to have that balance, to be able to have a very successful business, to be able to inspire my team, to be able to impact my community. But I also wanted time to have, for my children. And, a patient told me about 10 years ago when my daughter was just 1 or 2, she said, listen, I know you're a doctor, but it's really important that you don't work so much that you miss out on everything. You don't want to have regrets in life. You don't want to miss out on those vacations, or you don't want to miss out on what's happening with them at school. And I really thought about it, and so about 5 years ago, I did another scratch practice here in my adopted home of Jamaica. And, that was my vision from the beginning. I wanted to have a practice that could run without me. And so I had to say, okay, what sort of team will I have to have in place? What sort of systems will I have to have in place? What sort of profitability will I have to have in place? How many doctors am I going to need to be able to take care of all of the expenses and overhead and make sure that I'm still earning an income? And so it was very strategic. Now, one of the words that I'm always using when I'm teaching and talking to my team in my office in terms of reaching our goals as well as to doctors is the term of reverse engineering. And I know you know this term very well, Jonathan. I know we're very like-minded in this. And to me, you can achieve any goal that you want in life, but you have to first really identify the goal, and then you have to say, okay, what are the steps that I need to get there? Now, that may have meant that I had to learn new things, right? And so I spent I mean, I tell you, one year, I think I read like, 100 or 200 books. I mean, books were always in my ear, listening to Audible in my car, and then podcasts were coming along, and then I invested in some expensive, but so worth it business coaching. So I hired actually a master coach. It cost me a fair bit of money, but it was so worth it because in that first year, we actually tripled our revenue. We were able to really focus on different things. And so the first year I said, you know what, we're not going to be at a place where we're necessarily delivering well to the point of where we are now. But the first year, it was all about really knowing our numbers, knowing, strategically where we needed to go, reverse engineering how we would achieve our profits, as well as starting to put in systems. And so that was the first year, like systematizing everything, like creating all of those manuals, creating all of the verbiage, doing verbal training to understand how to ask those open-ended questions, to be able to get people to convert. Like all of that was just so critical, so key. And while I was doing that, it was also using, social media and Facebook to also share this whole experience of what was happening, online. And so people were able to see it. And so the brand was growing. So the first year was like systems. And the next year was like, okay, how can we really deliver more wow? And so that's when we put in the complimentary hand and arm massages. So we spent about $3,000 to get all of our assistants trained. And we put in the warm towel warmers to give them a hot peppermint scented towel after their visit, and all of those things to deliver wow. And then the next year was about community impact. And again, everything that we're doing is all on social media. And so people have been following us. And my vision was to be the #1 practice known anywhere near me for delivering wow. And we have achieved it, but again, that was my vision. And so we are now, I was able to grow a new office, and, now I don't have any practice debt. I've been able to pay it all off personally as well. We're debt free. But again, Jonathan, you know what? A lot of times people think, you hear these stories and you're like, oh, they had it so easy, or they were lucky, or whatever. And I can tell you, during this time, I was also very disciplined. And so we didn't spend and take amazing, fabulous vacations. We took vacations, but we were very conservative, in our spending and those sort of things. And I think that really was the key as well, is to really live within our means. And I kept reinvesting in the practice, paying off loans aggressively. And now I'm at a point now at 42 that, I don't have to be at work if I don't want to. I can be here, recording a podcast episode with you because I have that freedom now. And I mean, I just left my practice about 30 minutes ago and everything was happening. Like the patients were being wild. The doctors were delivering amazing service. And, at this point now, some of the patients know me, some don't. And it's okay, because I know I've been able to create that vision and that dream.
I love that. So many people focus in on the, and I'm not saying it's not important to deliver a great product, but in dentistry, accounting, a lot of different service-based environments, the service you're providing becomes somewhat of a commodity. Like they can tell if your teeth look good, but that's at the end of the day, for a lot of people, that is what they think of when they think of the dentist. They don't think of, now, yes, they think of like the, being treated for pain and things like that, but they don't a lot of the times think, they can get that in their mind from any dental practice. Mm-hmm. But what you've created is an experience that they can only get from your practice, which really elevates your practice to, almost, if not completely, untouchable challenges. Like no one can touch you at that point unless they rise to your level. And as we all know in dentistry, that is not a common occurrence of people, noticing people are doing something different and then, emulating or, even impersonating to try and make things, be competitive in that right. And doing that, it's good for the patient, it's good for the practice, it's good for the community. I mean, if you think about it, if there's someone who's afraid to go to the dentist and they hear someone say, oh, it's almost not even like going to the dentist. You go and you get massages and, they have these really great, hot towels that they'll pass out. It's almost like going to the spa. Like it's not like going to the dentist. Yes, that's part of it, but that is not what, that is why they're going, but at the same time, they're not afraid of going because of the fact that you made it such a pleasant experience. Which I just think is so genius, and you should be, complimented on that.
No, it's really interesting, Jonathan. I mean, I actually had a message come in today from a doctor, and she was very concerned because another doctor has just moved very close to her practice, and that doctor is taking now every single dental insurance, every single PPO, every single insurance, and she's fee for service. And she's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I'm afraid I'm going to lose my patients. And I'm just like, listen, let me tell you something, they cannot copy, the experiences and how you make people feel. And so, if I have an opportunity to go somewhere, and dentistry is somewhere where you have to get very, you get very personal with people, and people are fearful. And so if they find somewhere that's giving them that amazing wow experience, that's what really matters most. And so focusing on those sort of things, focusing on being different. And so all of your marketing messages, no matter if it's on your website, direct mail, Facebook marketing, whatever you're doing, you always want to be talking about why you are different. And so that's the key. And, there are so many other ways that you can grow your practice now. I mean, there's, you can create an in-house dental savings plan that is allowing you to market to people who don't have insurance. You can create host beneficiary alliances with, other companies who have team members and they don't supply dental insurance to them. And you can create a special program for them, for their employees. You can offer additional services that no one else is offering in your community, like adult ortho, a sleep apnea treatment. There's so many amazing ways that you can grow your practice, that's independent of, these sort of insurance. And, I think a lot of times it's just sort of getting over that barrier and understanding that there are different ways, understanding that being unique is what's most important. Again, marketing messages, you don't want to say we do fillings, we do crowns, because if you say that and the doctor across the street says the same thing and their prices are less, they're going to choose that other doctor, right? But like when they call your practice and they're asking about how much is a crown, and you're asking them questions about, well, what sort of crown are you looking for? Or, let me tell you a little bit about our practice. At our office, we really focus on listening. We have complimentary hand and arm massages. We really take the time to make sure that you're okay. The new patient is going to say, okay, this place is somewhere different, and they're going to come to you. And that's the bottom line. That's, to me, what this whole delivering wow is all about.
It's a movement, is what I would call it. So tell me, I'm whenever I'm interviewing people, I always try and hear in my head what the listeners are thinking in their head at that point in time. And I know what a lot of my listeners are probably thinking right now is, this all sounds really great in theory, but how do I actually make something like this happen? Because, if you're someone like me and you think, yeah, I completely see why this is important, but I don't have a clue about how to tomorrow to start implementing this, because I've got, 8 employees that all they say they have time to do is exactly what they're doing right now.
Right. Absolutely. So I can tell you, it always starts with you. If you are the owner of the practice, what is your vision? Where do you see your business going in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And the most important thing is sharing that vision with your team. I can tell you, I was guilty of this, in my early years, trying to pretend like I had it all together, trying to, be the doctor and, my team, hiding things from them in terms of struggles and all of these sort of things. And so what I learned over time is that you have to have the vision. You have to really own that vision and understand that your team has to be with you. And if they're not with you, they're not going to be the right fit, because at the end of the day, you are going to achieve your vision. And so it's important for you to put it out there to your practice, to your team members, find out for them, what are their personal dreams? Where do they want to be in 3 years, 5 years? What do they want for their kids and families? And let them understand that through your practice, they can achieve all of their personal goals. And so if the practice grows, there's more profits. And then that way, everybody can achieve more. And so you really have to, one, put out your vision, get everyone aligned so that everybody understands that the practice is going there with or without them. You want them there, but if they're not going to be a part, it's okay. Like there's another office for them and it's okay. So the first step is really getting your vision, sharing that vision, and really getting your team aligned. And then from there, really diving really deep and looking at, what is everybody doing every single day? What really matters most to move the needle in your practice? If you're looking at profitability, for example, again, reverse engineering how you can actually hit those crazy big goals. For us, what we do, it's a little bit different than what's done traditionally in dentistry, is we don't actually set our goals by money. Like we don't say every day we need to hit $5,000 or 10. We don't do it that way. So what we do is we look at historicals, like for the last few months, and we say, okay, great. In the last few months, we did, 30 crowns. How much revenue did that give us? We did, 20 whitenings. How much revenue did that give us? And then we say, what if? What if we were to do 5 more crowns? What if we were to do, 20 more sealants or 100 more, sealants? What would be the revenue? And then we set those service goals every single month. And then it becomes a fun game. And so you align the team together to be able to hit those goals. Everybody that I've spoken to about this strategy, they come back like in 2 months and say, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This, we've had the best month ever. So again, reverse engineering. And so it talks about, how will you as a team achieve those goals? It's not about the doctor working harder or the front desk working harder. It's everybody coming together. And then when that starts to happen, everybody starts to get excited, right? And so, from there, you're looking at, focusing on what matters most, creating those systems, putting in the KPIs so that the team knows what they need to be doing every single day. Doctors tell me my team doesn't have time to be on Facebook and to be posting on Facebook. And I'm like, really? Well, if they were on there for 10 minutes a day and you got like 30 new patients a month, would that make sense? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, just create like a daily schedule for them or a weekly schedule. And at 9:30 to 9:45 every day, they post something on Facebook or they check Facebook messages. Like just put that in because that really matters most. And perhaps there are things that they're doing that doesn't matter most, or perhaps they don't know what you need them to do. And so they're just like on their phone, or they're just like their mind is somewhere else and they're not focusing on it. So it's really putting in those systems, making sure that everybody knows what matters most. And then from there, looking at overheads, looking at, how much do things cost to actually run the practice. And then from there, again, putting in all of the wow systems, experiences to really grow your brand. So it's actually like a little ladder. Like you start at one part at the bottom and that you're not going to be on the sixth place, initially, but you have to just sort of build from there. And what happens is that once you start building, the momentum really starts to grow and grow. And like I said, for me, this is exactly what I did. And in 1 year, we were able to triple revenue. My coach told me, she's like, okay, put down your goal. What is your revenue goal for this year? We did that in December and I put a number and she's like, okay, great, just double it. And I'm like, yeah, right. And she's like, no, double it. And then you need to tell me how you're going to achieve it. And so to me, that's how you have to do it. You have to have the mindset to think really big, have a mindset that you can achieve it. And again, you may need to get some help. You may need to read books, surround yourself with people who are already achieving greatness. To me, that's how I've been able to achieve what I've been able to achieve. I can tell you, learning how to podcast, learning how to create an online course, learning how to create a membership site, which is what I have now to help dentists to be able to grow their practices. I did not know this stuff as a dentist. So what I had to do, was surround myself with people who knew how and said, teach me. I paid them, teach me how to do it.
I thought that's what dental school did. I must be really confused on what you learn at dental school.
No, but anything you want to know how to do, you can do it. You just need to, you can take the slow and steady approach, which is what I was doing for a long time. And then finally, now I'm like, anything I want to know, I'm like trying to figure out who can I hire to teach me so I can get there a little faster. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Speed of execution is everything in business. I mean, if you can learn a lot, but until you start doing, then it gets real tough real quick. And the problem with doing is if you've never gone down that path before, sometimes you're just kind of wandering out there. So having people around you makes a whole lot of sense. Touching on a couple of points you just made, though, and we'll get back to that. You talked about having the kind of the reverse goal setting being quantitative based off the number of services you'd like to be performing in a month compared to the prior month of being able to grow in that way. I think that's a great way of doing it. How do you, I see a lot of people when they come up with those ideas in their head, they think, well, I can't get past, in theory, it seems great to be able to say, I'm going to do 5 more crowns this month. But when people think that, they think that, okay, that means I'm going to have to, say something's a crown when it's not a crown.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And, so walk people through why that's not the case.
Okay. So this is how you can get 5 crowns easily. Okay. So, and it has nothing to do with overdiagnosing. And I can tell you, for me, I like to sleep well at night. I like to, have peace of mind and know that my patients are okay. So if anything, I'm underdiagnosing, right? But for me, how you can achieve these goals is, say, for example, someone's calling on the phone and they're asking for the cost of a crown, right? So there's a difference between saying a crown costs $800. What sort of insurance do you have? Or saying, like we said before, the verbiage being, so that I can help you better, may I get your name? Is it okay if I ask you a few questions so that I can better serve you more? Sure. And then you start going down that path of, what sort of crown are you looking for, and talking about the patient experience. That's how the front desk is helping you to get 1 more crown, right? If the hygienist is doing a cleaning and notice that a patient has not had their crown completed and it was treatment planned 6 months ago, the hygienist is now taking the extra time to talk about the importance of them getting that crown and what happens if they don't get the crown, right? Me as the doctor, I might be tired and maybe I have time to do it that day. Well, guess what? I have a goal. I just may go ahead and start that procedure that day. The same thing with the team, because they understand that if we do everything that it takes, then we can easily achieve our goals. And I can tell you, every 6 months when we have our performance evaluations, every 6 months, my team gets a massive increase in their salary. And so they see what's happening and are like, oh, this is how it works. And I said, listen, guys, if there's no money, we can't do it. But it's all about that. There have been times when we have not been on track to hit our goals. I mean, that's being realistic. And, what we'll do is perhaps it's week 2 and I'm like, we are way behind on crowns. I'll put up a Facebook ad, a promotion that's not seen on our page, that's going to people, targeted audiences, people that have been to our website, a Facebook lookalike of our patient list. And we'll put up a promotion, for anybody that comes in this month. Before the end of the month, you get 10% off. Up to 10% off. And so if they prepay, they can get 10%. If they come in that month, they get 5%. We'll put up a Facebook offer, or we'll go into our practice management third-party software, and we'll pull up a list of everybody who's been treatment planned for a crown that has not actually started the crown. And we'll send them a targeted email saying, hey guys, this month, if you come in by the end of the month, same thing. If you start this month, you get 5%. If you prepay, you can get up to 10. Targeted emails, right? So that is our strategy of how we can very easily get 5 more crowns. And it has nothing to do with overdiagnosing. It really is about understanding business strategies, really, and understanding, how to communicate effectively and how to really involve the whole team in achieving that goal.
I love it. When I talk to people about numbers, a lot of the times, people assume that there's some type of quantitative analysis that can be created that can math your way into success. And, in a way there is, but really it's more along the lines of investigation of saying, okay, I'm having a goal of 5 more crowns this month. And then you taking that time in your head to say, how are we going to get 5 more crowns? And then involving your team, like you said, with the communication, and then it being a discussion, which leads to inspiration, which leads to imagination, which leads to innovation, and then finally execution. And you go out there, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But every once in a while you find that thing that can find you 3 more crowns a month, and then you just are implementing that for from now until eternity. And it's just a part of the process, right? So so I'm glad you said the answer that you said, rather than being like, no, you just go and diagnose 5 more crowns. It has been a pretty short episode if we had that. But so yeah, so great. I love that perspective and very good explanation. So tell me about the people. So again, this is not a magic bullet. Like, this is not something that gets sold in dentistry time and time again, that I'm so protective of my listeners to not let those types of people on the podcast. It's another reason why, I love what you're doing. I love you. I love everything that goes on with delivering wow. But for the people out there that are, products of the environment that they're in, most of them are heavy in debt. They went and acquired a practice or started a practice. They come into a practice that is in an industry that is being more and more competitive every day, and they are afraid of going out and doing things a little bit differently because, we are all, as humans, not, we don't like changing. We're made to change, but we don't like change. We there's something inside of us that fights it a lot, and doing things differently. Versus the hive mind, or what you've been trained to do, or what the people around you, like your staff that have been there for longer than you in a lot of cases, have been trained to do. This is kind of scary. So how do you surround yourself with a way to be able to figure out the next steps so that you can be able to go through this thing? Because it's, they said, the team's a part of it, and a lot of business owners like to think it's just me. Even I fight that sometimes, if it's just me. But in reality, I've got a great team behind me that's going to be able to help me do these types of things. So how do you surround yourself with people that are able to do that? How do you find that next step? How do you figure out all those things that you've talked about?
Okay, so there's 2 parts. The first is that, how do you get over fear? And let me say this, fear is normal. Believe me, I've tried a lot of things last year. It was the first time I've done them. I'm continuously doing that. And I'm afraid every time, when I started my podcast, I was nervous. My first webinar was a disaster, right? People in my internet kept dropping, but what happened is that you just pick it up and you just keep going. And I think the successful people are the people that understand that you are going to fail. There are going to be things that are not going to work. And what happens is that you have to understand, have that mindset that, like you said before, if something's not working, you just, my other favorite word, you pivot, right? You pivot and you try something else, or you say, I learned something, so that experience with the webinar, I did a goal setting webinar, and, that night internet was just crashing and I couldn't do anything about it. And, I learned that my audience was very forgiving. They loved me anyway. They were like, it's okay. And that night I recorded the webinar and sent it out to them. And so that week they were like, oh my gosh, you really care about us, and you did whatever it took to be able to help us. And so the same sort of thing happens in your practice. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to try something. It's not going to work. And you have to say, you know what, it's okay. That's just part of it, because we're searching for that, like you said, that magic bullet, or we're searching for that one thing that's going to allow us to be able to achieve. And, the 80-20 principle, it's those 20%. So you're trying to find that 20%, that matters most. And in terms of, surrounding yourself with your team, or getting your team, it really has to do with mindset, Jonathan. And I can tell you, as this whole delivering well is growing, I'm looking at, okay, I need to get people to help me. I have an editor now because I'm trying to do weekly blog posts. I have a professional editor helping me with those things. I have somebody who's now coming on to help me in my Facebook community, as well as in delivering while you as a community manager, to help me to give really amazing support to the doctors that are in there. In my practice, again, I am not there all the time. So I have to have an amazing office manager who can manage everything in terms of what her job is really just managing, managing systems really that have been created, making sure that people follow the systems. We work on systems. We don't work on feel. So that first year we created the systems, making sure everybody knows what they need to do, and just making sure you hire the right people. My last hire was a treatment coordinator that had 20 years of experience in another practice. She came in with her desired starting salary. And I was like, wow, like that's a lot of money. That's more than, that's more than almost what my office manager was making. But guess what? I gave it to her, and I gave my office manager a raise as well. And I reverse engineered how she would be able to, have a huge ROI from her being in the practice. And now she's doing phenomenal things. And like, since she's been there, we've had tremendous success. But again, really understanding that you sometimes cannot do everything. Well, you can never do everything well yourself. You have to surround yourself with great people. You have to make sure that they're trained though, and know what matters most, know what they need to do. And then you have to kind of step back a little bit. You're inspiring them, but you have to step back and let them do their job.
So you have to inspire them to allow them to be able to do their job. You're saying that about releasing the fear and getting over the mindset and the limiting beliefs and things like that. And I kind of thought, I wonder if that's the magic bullet that people are actually looking for, is getting over all the head trash that's in there. If that, I don't think that would be the magic bullet. I think that would be the first step towards any magic bullet. Like if that was a piece of it, or confidence or leadership or something like that. I'm going off on a tangent here. You said there was two parts. What was the second part of being able to be a doctor that's out there in this world? You get over the mindset issue. You allow people to go where they're wanting to go. How do you figure out what's next? How do you figure out how to go from where you are today to whatever that goal actually is?
Right. So for me, again, it's always about understanding where you want to go. So you talked about a lot of doctors are in a ton of debt. I mean, student loan debt is crazy now. And then you go and you purchase a practice. And I mean, before you even make any money, you have a ton of debt. And so, for me, if I were in that position now, I'd be like, okay, I can't change that today. Okay, be realistic. You cannot change that today. However, this is going to change. And I'm not going to take 10 years to get there. So what do I have to do to be able in 5 years to be able to be in a different position? Maybe that means that you are not going to buy that fancy car, or you're not going to buy an expensive house. Maybe you're going to live within your means, just like you had to do when you were in school for a few years. You'll be better off in the long run, but really putting those things in place. And then again, saying, okay, what do I need to learn? Who do I need to have in my ear? So listening to podcasts, listening to, I know you do the YouTube or videos as well. This is what people can do to be able to get to the next level. I think podcast listeners are amazing because you're taking time when you're working out or you're driving to the car. And that's what I was doing, to try to learn and get my education, learn things that I didn't learn in dental school. Surround yourself with good people. There's some great Facebook groups out there. My group is the Delivering While Hangout. I know there's some other dental Facebook groups that are very helpful as well. Mine is business. Some people are speaking more clinical. Get in those groups, get involved, ask questions, get over fear. A lot of times people have fear, so they don't put their weaknesses out there. You have to learn to say, guess what? I'm having a challenge with this. Can you help me? And then once you do that, people are really helpful. They'll be willing to help you. And again, just getting those tools, getting whatever you need. So if you're weak in business, you need to learn how to run a business. If you're weak clinically and you want to be able to do better root canals, then you need to invest in some training so that you can be more confident, so that you can do more root canals, right? So especially, and it's not just for, I'm leaving in the morning to go and do continuing education. Even at this point when I'm working 2 days a week, I'm still trying to focus on those things as well, because I want to continue to take the practice to the next level. And so it's having that vision and then really just getting everything that you need to do to be able to have that vision achieved in as short amount of time as possible.
So we started this call and you're talking about how you went out there with and surrounded yourself with other people that could teach you about podcasting, could teach you about membership courses. It could teach you about, social media, and that you could add to the conversation with, since you already had a very successful Facebook group, goal setting, all these other types of things. Is that what made you to create the Delivering Wow You?
Right, absolutely. So let me tell you, for me, this whole Delivering Wow, this is my passion project. I mean, we were at the Voices of Dentistry conference, and Gary Takis was there speaking about, what will be your legacy? What will you leave to the world? What will you be known for? And, for me, I built a great practice, and I've been practicing for 17 years now. And I'm like, what's next for me? I've been able to achieve that. And for me, I said, what's next is really helping doctors to be able to achieve the same level of freedom, level of success that I learned. And I mean, I spent a ton of money, really investing in myself. And I had to go outside of dentistry, at least in my experience, that, that's what I did, to be able to learn business strategies and to get, dive really deep. But, to me, that's how I was able to get there. And so Delivering Wow You, for me, is like, for me, I didn't see another place where people can learn about dentistry. I mean, you have amazing sites like Dental Town, where people are on, and there are forums and people are helping each other, but it's really a lot of clinical that's being discussed. And, it's a lot of people just sort of, hanging out and chatting about life, what's going on in the dental practice. But I didn't see a resource of where people could go and understand how to create that vision. How do you reverse engineer your goals? How do you hire the right team? How do you create behavioral style assessments so that you can make sure that your team is all functioning together? How do you create those, in-house dental plans? How do you create, how do you create the scripts and verbiage? And so for me, I was like, you know what? I can do this. This is something that's so easy for me. And so I decided to create Delivering Wow You. And so it's actually a community, an online community for dentists. We have every month training that's going in there. We have expert chit chat videos. I actually need to get you on, Jonathan, to talk about accounting and, the importance of numbers. But we have experts coming in that are adding to the conversation. And it's a very giving, sharing environment where people are just putting down, their fear and putting down their resistances when they come into the community. People are helping. People are giving their templates for their scripts, sharing their social media signs. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you inspire people to be in a community where they're giving. And it's the same sort of revolution, or whatever you called it earlier, that has happened in my practice. Like, you inspire people and you say, guys, let's work together, because only positive can come from it. And the same sort of thing has happened with the Delivering Wow community. It's very positive. And I'm like, guys, listen, I'm in Jamaica, you're in Canada, the next person is in New Zealand, the next person is in Atlanta or Miami. We're not competing against each other. Let's come together, share resources, share what's working, so that we can all thrive and be the best that we can be. And so that's what Delivering Wow You is about, learning everything that you did not learn in dental school.
Perfect. And so if people want to know more about Delivering Wow You, what's a way for them to be able to find out about it?
Right. So to find out more, people would go to deliveringwowcourse.com /wow you. That's how people are able to find out about the community. And it's something that's very affordable. Actually, we had a launch promotion, but we're now actively getting members now, and it's only $97 a month. So it's something that's very affordable for dentists, no matter where they are in their journey. And for me, this is not about building a huge empire business. It's about being able to provide resources to help people. And that's what motivates me. That's what gets me going. Hearing all of people's wins, and it's really quite phenomenal. So that's sort of what we're looking at.
And $97 for online communities is dirt cheap. And especially in dentistry, with the type of change that you're trying to say, you had your original coach said to give you a goal and told you to double it, and then you said you ended up tripling your revenue. It was $97 a month to be able to get those kinds of results. So guys, Dr. Holmes, thanks so much for coming on today, sharing some really great stories. You're always a pleasure. If there's anyone else, that has any other questions or anything like that, is there a good way for them to be able to get in contact with you, or to be able to reach out to you, or to be able to, find the Facebook group or anything like that?
Absolutely. So the free Facebook group is the Delivering While Hangout, and the quick URL is deliveringwhilehangout.com. I'm in there every single day, and it's an amazing community. I'm always sharing resources. I have a Facebook. I have the podcast that's coming out every week, blog posts, which are available on my website, which is deliveringwhile.com. So there's a ton of free content, free resources as well. And again, if people are interested in really going to the next step, the U is there as well.
So just to clarify, guys, the free community is Delivering While Hangout, and the pay, which has 1,700 dentists in it, it has a bunch of people contributing and talking for absolutely free. So I don't think you have to pay $97 to join that. As long as you got Facebook, then you can get in there. Right. And then the Delivering While You is the next level step of saying, hey, I want to be in a kind of a systematized course, as well as have other people doing exactly the same thing, and not have quite as much noise that's going on, that's out there in the free, that's out there in all the podcasts, that's out there in all the other things. So, okay, fantastic. Well, yeah, Dr. Holmes, thanks so much for coming on. I accept your invitation to speak to the U. I'd love to do that. And until next time, thanks so much, guys. Again, reach out to Dr. Holmes, say thank you. She's on Facebook every day, so she's not hard to find. Again, Dr. Holmes, thanks for your time, and have a great day.
You too.
A very special thanks to Dr. Anissa for coming on the show. As she has proven time and time again, by over-delivering in your practice as well as your life, you can blow your competition out of the water and deliver an experience that your patients just won't ever forget. She's generously shared her roadmap to creating a delivering while practice in your own practice for the Start Your Dental Practice listeners, which shows you step-by-step how to create a process that delivers you to a delivering while practice. So it goes without saying, she's one of the very few who actually practice what she preaches. And I know you'll get a ton out of this worksheet. So to get access to that worksheet, simply text practice to 33444. Again, that's practice to 33444, or visit startyourdentalpractice.com/bonus if you're outside of the U.S. You'll also receive updates on the latest episodes of Start Your Dental Practice, helpful tips for owning and running a practice, and promotional opportunities direct to your inbox. So that's it for today's episode, but that doesn't mean that the learning and implementation have to stop there. I've created a free report called The 15 Numbers That Will Make or Break Your Dental Practice. This report has been downloaded over 1,000 times by dental professionals. So if you want your free copy of this report that's going to outline what the most important numbers are in any dental practice, and it also includes how to look at your numbers, how to set goals, has a whole slew of really important information that is the culmination of all of my experience as a dental CPA, then just go to startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. That is startyourdentalpractice.com/free gift. And so that's it for today, Ambitious Dentist. Again, I'm Jonathan Van Horn, CPA and ABV. I'll see you next week with another world-class practice owner or consultant that will help you start your very own dental practice. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Start Your Dental Practice community. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor and go to startyourdentalpractice.com/iTunes to leave your honest feedback and review on iTunes. It's going to help me create a better experience, a better show, a better podcast for you, the ambitious dentist. Your feedback really does help, regardless if you like the show today or not. If you didn't like the show, let me know, because it's going to help me create a better show and podcast for you. Lastly, if you know of anybody that would benefit from today's episode and today's content, today's guest, please feel free to share with them on social media or through email.